Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 13 of Tactical Crouch. That's right. We're 13 episodes in now. We're going through number 10 through number 6 of our Overwatch League Season 2 Power Rankings. It's going to be a good one. We've got a great show planned for you. Obviously, the whole crew is with me today. Joe and Yiska. Hope you guys had a good holiday. It's been a couple weeks. Yiska, I mean, we're talking a little bit about Joe's holiday, but I don't know what Christmas is like in Germany. If you even take advantage of the Christmas holiday, or if it's some other.
I know that New Year's is pretty festive for you, but
yeah. No, like Christmas, we have it a little bit differently. Where on the 24th we get the presents and whatever on the evening of the 24th.
Oh, we do that too.
Really?
Yeah, like my family does that. It's a family thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely not like a U.S.
It's a tradition thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite fun. Got to see a bunch of family.
Nice.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, good. Nice. Good. Well, we're here to talk, obviously, competitive Overwatch. We've been going through a lot. We've been going through a lot in the competitive Overwatch scene recently, Joe. We woke up today to like 3 different controversies.
Big controversies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's no absence of drama and questionable doings in the world, but you know, we're here to rustle your Jim Jams about your favorite teams. I'm not here to speak on.
I mean, here's the thing, like, and this is tough, and this is something that we've kind of been talking about because Overwatch content creation. I don't want to say content creation, but some of the most popular Overwatch channels for content creation revolve around circulating information that shouldn't be circulated.
Yeah,
we don't want to do that.
No, it's not us,
and we're not.
There's
going
no substance in that. Once all that information gets out there, what do you have? Nothing. So
we're not going to. You can definitely. So I will summarize really quickly for you the 2 things that happened today. I'm going to do it.
Sure.
So that people can get the news.
Get it out of their system.
This is the news. I'm the Tom Brokaw of Overwatch. I'm just unbiased. I don't even actually know if that's how that goes or anything. I don't know anything about newscasters.
I'm terrified to quote newscasters these days because I don't know who's where doing what.
Picture in your mind the most unbiased newscaster. I don't know, Ron Burgundy or something. And the most unbiased newscaster. Here's the facts of what we know. Number 1, Michael had posted a leaked scrim VOD between the Atlanta Reign and NYXL. Gator for the Atlanta Reign had put it up on his YouTube, meant to put it on his private or unlisted. Put it publicly. That video got circulated, got into Michael's hands. He posted it. Community backlash. All that stuff happens. Don't circulate stuff you don't have access to.
Just really quick, by the way, that is complete Overwatch League standard. Everyone does that. There are unlisted YouTube VODs. You can sit in your browser and go like capital R, minor M, like, and find these VODs if you want to do that. Yeah, I guess that's small M, whatever.
Yeah. This music, like a minor M chord.
And no, that's completely normal. It's just unfortunate that people know your channel you're uploading on.
Is that how they uploaded to Winston's Lab back in the day? Do you know? Was it via YouTube, or did they actually directly upload VODs?
Could very well be.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I thought there was something to do with that. Anyways, so that happened, and then there's also a female Overwatch player who's doing really well on the competitive ladder and even making some splashes in the tier 2 and tier 3 scene, who is allegedly not who they say they are. Whatever that may be, somebody else is playing on that account, guised under somebody else. And this is actually something I come from the competitive Hearthstone scene. Lol. I come from the competitive Hearthstone scene, and so we had something like this happen with Magic Amy, where she was really good and was turning a lot of heads in competitive Hearthstone, and turns out that somebody else was. It wasn't her, and whatever. We're kind of dealing with the same thing here, where allegedly this isn't her. Obviously, there's a lot of double standard talk going on. And then, of course, just recently, literally 2 minutes before the show started, Twitch streamer by the name of Aspen, who seems to be partnered with Cloud9. We didn't get time to dig into it, but she's got all the Cloud9 overlays and stuff that all the other Cloud9 streamers do. Said that it is indeed some other person by the name of Punisher, I believe, who is playing on her account under her. So that's what's been going on. You're caught up on the Overwatch, competitive Overwatch drama. We're not going to comment on it except for, like, do good things, guys. Be a nice person. Don't lie about who you are.
Yep.
Yeah,
unless you have to.
Shouldn't do that.
I mean, but at the same time,
that.
I mean, it brings up so many ethical quandaries about why we're here. Why are we here in a place where that's a big deal? But yeah. Anyways, I don't want to go into too deep. I don't want to make you guys have to talk.
Want the elevator explanation or conclusion?
What's that?
Yeah.
Haunt, trash. Punisher, trash. Michael, trash. Done.
The garbage has been taken out. All right.
Hot take. There's your leaks.
Thanks, Yiska. I think moral of the story: just do nice things. Just do good for people. Don't jump to conclusions, even if you don't think they are who they say they are. There's no reason to attack, and what are you really getting out of it?
Love it.
Just be good to your fellow people.
Love it.
And vice versa. Don't need to lie. Don't need to attack people who claim that they're something.
If you want to take the wholesome high road, just look at Volamel's Twitter and do that. If he hasn't talked about it, you shouldn't talk about it. And that's it. That's all it takes. All right. That's enough, though. Overwatch League. Can you guys believe we are just over a month away?
Yeah, dude. Feels like yesterday. We were just sitting there.
I don't know, 10 days, I guess. February 14th is the first.
I think exactly. We still don't know what's going on. If there's not a pre-season. Don't know. No idea.
Is that a problem? Like, to you guys, is that a problem that we still don't know if and when the preseason is happening?
Yeah. I do.
That is a problem, but also at the same time, I got to say, it's a problem knowing. I'll tell the viewers right now, Stage 1 will be a clown fiesta in many ways. Meaning, we have a lot of suspensions. We have a lot of visa issues.
True.
Which is what will likely also impact the preseason if that happens.
Yeah.
And then we have GOATs. And we have a new observing team. So between these four things, I expect it to be interesting in what the product finally will be. Though, as I've already gone on record, I think the entire season will be super dope in terms of who's in and who's coaching and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just not Stage 1 as much, probably.
Yeah.
Stage 1 is going to be probably a rush to who can figure it out the fastest and who has the most inherent skill. Maybe is that kind of what you're saying, or am I just totally off?
In terms of who's in, you mean?
Wait, what do you mean as far as who's in? We know the players that are in, right?
Yeah. I mean, okay.
But
so in
who's
comparison,
performing well?
Oh, okay. Yeah, pretty high skill.
Yeah.
Either way, we're just over a month away, and I'm really excited about this. We've actually got some pretty cool guests potentially in the lineup coming up from Overwatch League and whatnot. So, we could get Overwatch League guests too. Okay.
Universe.
We can. Universe.
Twitterverse.
But We do want to talk about our rankings, season 2 power rankings, because this has been something every time it gets circulated on competitive Overwatch, every time somebody like takes totally out of context one of our picks, that's okay. First week, I think it was Joe's, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think Joe. The second week, it was me.
Come at me.
Come at you. I don't think I will. I have to change the game to Overwatch. Thank you, Matador. Appreciate it. It's fixed. So we went through number 20 through number 11. We're starting at number 10 now. Top 10 teams, power rankings.
We're getting to playoff caliber.
We're getting to playoff here. Joe, qualify for us what power rankings mean.
So power rankings aren't necessarily, there's a lot of questions around what are power rankings, what are they for? Majority of your power rankings should happen, if you want accuracy, during the season, how you project teams throughout, an extended amount of time. When you do things so far in advance like we're doing, it's more of a discussion starter. It's more of, this is how we're evaluating teams right now, with certain metrics in mind, how specifically, or at least I viewed it. I don't want to speak for my co-hosts or anyway, and try to put words in their mouths.
See what he's doing here? The coward's caveat.
That's what I do best. Come on now. So the way that I had framed it was how well I think these teams could do over the season with the many patches that I'm sure we'll get, with the changes, all that stuff. How adaptable can these teams be? And we rank them 1 to 20, 1 being the best, 20 being the unfortunate last place team in
Washington
our minds,
Justice.
or not like that. Well, I mean,
I don't even know what that was.
I was serving a pizza, you gotta give me the money.
God.
Okay. We will state at this time that Joe is indeed Italian and isn't just making fun of other people's culture.
Listen
we
here,
just
man.
reached the part of the show where I start to play the outro music, but I've done that like 10 times in 13 episodes, so can't do it again.
I'm glad it wasn't me this time.
Cut the VOD.
Cut the VOD.
Keep it in. Keep it
It's
in.
staying here. It's staying here. All right. So that's what power rankings are. If you're commenting on power rankings and you haven't listened to the justification of those power rankings, we already took out the trash once, but we'll take it out again. That's fine. Just,
I guess we didn't really talk about everybody's individual criteria.
We did it. I mean, we did it, but we have kind of a
little bit.
At the very least, watch the episodes if you're going to tell us we're wrong.
No, but
Sure.
Okay, so the initial discussion was like I think what I would have liked to do more and try to do now more is to take divisions in mind. To have, so mine actually resemble where I estimate people to
I think mine
land.
unintentionally did that.
Yeah, it's
I
not
think I
necessarily
agree.
power rankings as much like absolute power rankings. For instance, probably Houston would be lower, or Paris, but they are in the weaker group. Now it's also, now that we've defined half of them, now you have like a stock who you're comparing against. And one is to say it's the Atlantic Division is so much weaker.
At least
just
on paper. Yeah, from what we can see so far. You've got some big hitters in Pacific. So
yeah, so I try to incorporate that as well. I try to think of definitely coaching, which I value quite highly. Try to still incorporate the core 4 idea here and there where it was applicable. Try to incorporate language barriers, and we talked about that before. And yeah, then also we would have to think about meta flexibility, because just lessons from last season. That's basically what I'm building it on. But yeah, generally, I think like if I was a betting man, that would be my top 20. I would bet up where they end. And here's the important part: at the end of the regular season, not playoffs.
Yep, regular season for sure. Playoffs, as we saw at the end of season 1.
That's a whole new game.
Well, I mean, it's so. I mean, we saw it, right? It was very meta dependent. We don't know if that's going to kind of translate into that. You know,
and I'll be real with you. I'm not taking a big valuation in that.
I think you could have
there's a
called the
lot to be
playoffs
said.
stage 5 with just
Sure.
with just a times 10 prize pool.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. So,
Yep.
anyways, that's kind of it. Have fun, guys. Overwatch,
Yeah.
competitive Overwatch is fun.
There's enough drama out there. Let's
It's
just debate,
discussions.
friendly banter. Come on, children.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. You have somebody else rated higher than me? Okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. You can
Bring
be
it
right.
in. Bring it in.
I
chat.
can be wrong.
Give me that
you
hug.
can
Yeah.
also be
Come-
wrong. You can also be wrong. You could get every single one of your predictions.
We can all
wrong.
be wrong.
No,
No.
we can't all be wrong. Somebody has to be right at some point, right? It's just the,
Yeah. There's always that one like random fantasy bracket that predicts
yeah.
like
It's always the one guy
Crawford
who's
to
just
be
like
the best player in the world and London to win the Overwatch League. Yeah, there's always this one guy.
yeah.
All right.
Listen here, buddy.
Sideshow loves
here.
being wrong. He says that publicly, but I don't think it's true.
Yeah. How was your Jonak bet there, bud?
He's still wrong for that. He's still wrong.
Came to the right conclusions. It's all that matters. He took the W. You took the fat ol' L, dude.
No, that's not how it works.
Big ol' L. Jonak's not gonna be good because his stream is it's ranked.
Yeah.
L, dude.
Okay.
L.
Number 10. Let's go into it. Number 10.
Okay.
All right, Joe, because you're on the far left
Am I
on
left?
my Discord stream. You're going first here. Who is your
Left for
number
L.
10? Who's your number
I've
10
got
pick?
right above the Valiant because I thought that they could have added some interesting people.
Ooh.
I thought that they cut some weight, but at 10, I've got the Toronto Defiant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. I think we both had Defiant at 11, Yiska.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
all right, not too far off. Yiska, who's your number 10?
Hangzhou Spark.
Okay. I had them at 12, so that makes me feel a little bit better. For me, number 10. Number 10 for me is the Atlanta Reign. Yeah.
Interesting. Atlanta 10. I don't know how to feel about them. I'm still I want to make content around them and how like just kind of diving into that team. I just don't know how to feel about them. I really don't.
I mean, here's
it's
the
so
thing,
hard
though.
to look at
They've
them.
signed some of the best individual free agents in competitive Overwatch.
Sure, yeah.
Erster, Blair, and DeFran could be incredible in Overwatch League.
Yeah.
Huge
could.
asterisks, but they could be incredible.
They could also be tilt monkeys.
It's true. Brad, but I think even if they aren't, I think they still compete.
They could. I think that there's definitely
they
the
do.
potential there. You think they do?
I
can't say that I'm that bullish. I can understand why though.
Bullish
I
by
think
three rankings, right? You had them at 13.
I think okay, so putting a 1 to 20 is difficult because it doesn't really encapsulate all of the feeling I have about them, and that's why I want to do some supplementary content. I have them in a division all their own because I think they can be very volatile. I think they could peak really, really high one stage and everybody's like, oh, sick, dude, Atlanta, popping off. Something tweaks, something goes wrong, they suffer a big upset. Things could start to break down for them more so than other teams.
It's
I think,
just a way more boring conversation.
Sure, of course. Boring, whatever.
We got to make it kind of fun to listen to, right?
Sure, of course.
But I am bullish on the Atlanta Reign. I think I think Brad has shown himself as an excellent eye for talent. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the support roster.
Okay.
I have some question marks about the EU players, and again, that's my weakest region. So go figure. They don't really have any incoming synergy. which is why I said they signed some of the best individual free agents in competitive Overwatch. And then, at the same time, Brad also put together Season 1 San Francisco Shock, which did not do well. So we could praise Brad for, putting together, I think he put together, LG, was it Evil? Which was Jake Selfless. But before that, right? Selfless. It was, it's like he's put together some good rosters, but in Overwatch League, I don't want to say 0 for 1, but he's like 0.4 for 1. Lower half of 1 for 1.
I mean, the real problem is what if Pokpo doesn't work out and they have to put in Gator, and then there comes a meta with Hammond where you have to aim, and we have already seen that Gator can't aim, given that he clicked public instead of unlisted in the YouTube.
Got him.
Never mind.
Keep going. Got him. Yeah. But I mean, and here's the thing too, is I know Masa is, and this is something Nuki was on Overwatch League Daily last year. Can you believe it? And talked about Masa being so good. And so that's one of the few players that I've watched pretty closely. And I think that they're great. I think that they're probably Overwatch League caliber. But
I do have to agree with you, though. Yeah. I think that they have some definite potential. I've heard great things from Kodak. Very punctual behind the scenes from just talking to people around Team Germany, where he did actually have a very, very high performance. But looking back at some contenders VODs very recently, I've got some questions. I do. I wonder exactly when we're allocating resources, what time, how exactly that happens. Could be down to the team, could be down to structure, could be a lot of things. But still, I've got some questions there. Masa looks fine. Nothing to write home to mom about personally. Very.
Do you still write home to mom, by the way?
No. She's in the other room.
Okay.
So I don't need to write. I can just be like,
right there on your dog.
Huh?
Do you write there on your dog?
On my dog.
I mean, she's big enough to be written, I guess.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about his mom, and I was about to go nuts.
Yiska.
Your mom is big enough to be written on. Yiska to Volamel, episode 13.
The most some clarifying statements might help. I knew what you meant. But
all right, guys.
Live stream fails is a thing.
Anything else you want to discuss for number 10 here? I put Rain as number 10 by far the farthest by.
Who did you have, Yiska?
On 10?
Yeah.
Spark.
Oh,
and I know that's much lower than you probably will have them, right?
Not too much lower. Okay. I revealed, I think a couple episodes ago that I had them originally very high, but then I started to check myself before I wrecked myself, and held myself accountable and had to slowly drop them down. Same with Defiant. I had Defiant quite high as well, but yeah, I had to drop them down a little bit. But why Spark so low?
Okay, so for one, they are in the harder division, and it's a much harder division. So, of the teams, and I mean, I'm not revealing anything of their. Let me count. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 teams that I have in the top above them are in the division. So, based on that, if I just compare their power levels to the rest of the teams, this is where they land for me. Also, the X6 core hasn't done anything remarkable in the recent history.
No,
they're sort of it's a big question. But then again, there's also, I know the behind the scenes thing, the gaming house issues they had a little bit, that I also rate their coach quite highly.
Did you say the X6 core hasn't done anything
remarkable recently? Yeah.
Yeah,
they won
won
season 1 of
season one.
Contenders.
Yeah, but season 1 is a while ago.
It was that, and
It's
there
2
was
seasons ago. Like, if recent is only the most recent season, then okay. Then you're the.
I mean, it's not
Then you're
like
the Vancouver.
Runaway.
Yeah, I
who
get it.
won
You're the
last-
Vancouver
yeah.
Titans. I get it. They're the only team who
Yeah.
picked up any good
And
players.
then also in
'Cause
season
they're the
2,
only
they
team
completely
that won
shit the
Korea.
bed.
Yeah, well, they also have like 7 and stuff. I just, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I put them down 12. 12 for me.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't agree that they haven't done anything remarkable recently. Like,
Mhm.
they didn't do anything remarkable in the second half of 2018, maybe?
I mean, it's recent, right?
Just to compare, when Overwatch League Season 1 started, the distance when Rogue was still one of the best teams in the world and Overwatch League was not much, or was about the same. So the relevance here is metas far away, some players drop off, and I agree, like what they definitely did is they improved that core. It's not like they took that core and added mediocre players to it, even though there's a language barrier now in place. That is also a question mark, even though I think they probably are one of the teams that are best prepared for that scenario, simply because they knew so early that they would be getting him and have been playing or incorporating him for a while. And I think Gusha even went out and said that he is learning Korean, I think.
I vaguely remember something like that, yeah. I think
Everybody's
both Chinese
learning
players.
Korean. I have a Korean textbook.
I mean, yeah, if you're
Say
in it for
something
the
in
long
Korean.
haul.
No, I haven't started it.
I only know bad words in Korean and how to say hello. And,
All right.
and sorry, I think.
All right.
Not
Tripod is like the hoarder that buys like garbage packets and like cleaning stuff and just stacks it.
It says the guy with
yeah,
a
I
book
wanna
list in his
stop-
Discord.
No. So here's honestly the person I am. I'm the person who goes, I'm going to learn this. And I have a good week
Yes.
of like the most passionate learning of anything. And then complete
Montage caliber.
complete disinterest after that. Like, I'm going to
You wake
stream
up
in
the-
2019, and I do it for like a week, and I'm like,
Yeah.
the couch and new TV shows.
All right.
Yeah.
Overwatch League daily is the most consistent thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. Damn. I mean, it is quite consistent, to be fair. A video every day for how long?
I don't even remember the first half of 2018.
I can't
really
imagine
don't.
that, my friend.
I really don't. Like, I can't
That's
tell you.
toughie.
I survived on what's it called? Yerba mate tea.
In English?
Herbie mate.
I've just never heard of it.
Yeah, they sell it at Safeway. It's really good. It's really good.
Interesting.
Anyways, I am just not the person. Yeah, so I'm like, I'm gonna learn Korean. And I get all the right stuff, and I'm gonna do it. I just, the long tail, Number 9.
Yes.
Number 9. Let's talk about number 9. Joe went first. Yiska, you're going first this time. Who's in at number 9?
Dallas Fuel.
Ooh.
Number 9 for me, Dallas Fuel as well.
Really?
Number 9 for you, Joe.
Is this the first?
Get
we have
my
all
Google
at the
Doc leak,
same-
dude.
Is this the first one that we have all of them even?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
I
we were
think it
really close
must
on
be,
the mayhem, but
Yeah, I have Dallas at 9.
Yeah, okay.
I have
Interesting.
Dallas at 9. Yeah.
So how do I argue now that you're wrong?
we don't have to argue now that they're wrong. But why are they 9? Why are they a team that is, vying for the playoffs? This is a team that had 3 pretty awful stages. A coaching stage and a promising but middling, a promising if they had not finished so poorly in stages 1 through 3, wouldn't be a promising stage 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the addition of that very clear and structured support staff, with the introduction of Arrow and, retooling the roster, and the meta kind of suited them. They were early adopters. They got Brig on lock. Mickey was quite the talent on the hero. And maybe I am a little rosy. I don't know. Maybe I look at that and I hope for a similar level in stage 1. You know, Effect's been on the mend, possibly can come back in a slight appearance here and there. You know, integrate him slowly. I think if you can rehabilitate is a strong word, but you know, incorporate him back into the roster in a healthy manner, I think he has the potential to be one of the best players in the world. And that's a very powerful tool in a lot of different ways. The players that they've added, quite solid, fill a lot of holes. I think there are some questions around Zachary. Hasn't seen a ton of projectile play in a long time. Yes, I know that he's played it before. I'm very well aware. But I want to see that return. If he can return well, great. Now we have everything checked, all the boxes checked. Dallas should be playoff caliber. Will they? That's why I think I have them a little bit lower than most, I would imagine.
Still not confident in their DPS.
Yes.
Sure.
That's about the only thing where I think they have an issue.
I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you keep going. If
how is OG going to work together with RCK and Mickey, and probably maybe a little bit of Taimu, depending on what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Is Zachary Overwatch League caliber?
Sure.
And of course, is Effect healthy enough mentally and emotionally to make a deep run? That's why I put them at 10 or 9. I don't put them at like 6 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think a team where all of these cons, they made enough improvements. Taimu returns to form.
Sure.
You know, Zachary steps up. Effect going on all calibers. That tank line looking strong. That's a really solid team.
Yep.
That's going to be a really solid team. I just, you know, I can't. I'm not there yet. Not there yet.
Approach with hesitation, I think, Dallas. I think, again, going back to the way that I viewed or how I graded my teams, not necessarily hard 1 to 20 power rankings. I had Atlanta and Dallas in this very volatile role where it's hard to kind of pin them down. They could peak one stage, kind of flounder the next, peak again, have like a consistent, maybe stage 4, maybe the meta suits them. They're I have to kind of approach them with hesitation because there are a lot of questions there. I think they have some good pieces.
Yeah.
What can happen? I don't know what those. I don't know.
I think that their coaching staff has done an amazing job at like addressing a lot of the things that were issues in stage 1 through 3. I think the addition of you've got Vol'jin and Arrow, and then of course you've got Jane and another Canadian coach. My gosh, why can't I remember his name? Tickety. Thank you.
I think.
You know, like, has to be hopeful that they've got enough people in the right places for the players to succeed. And so I think that they're going to do well this season, and I think that they could definitely surprise.
Before Yiska chimes in, I want to provide a little bit of counter there, and it's not coming from a place of pure just trying to poke holes, but do you think that the Overwatch World Cup and those performances from those coaches has any bearing on the Dallas Fuel? Because I can already hear the community chiming in with that little jab and being like, oh, well, the World Cup. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that has any value, has any merit with the Dallas Fuel? I don't know. I personally, I think it's difficult to say, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Well, first off, you have to say Jane didn't have a bad showing as a World Cup coach, so that is almost like already sort of counted.
Sure.
And if you see where they landed, that is about where I have Dallas Fuel for Jane. But I mean, the comparison is a little weird. What I will say though is the history that Arrow has. Like the World Cup, that tournament doesn't turn it around for me. I think they just allocated resources weirdly and possibly underrated Great Britain. very hard, right?
Sure.
And if you think that's an easy game and you want to win it all, maybe you have to allocate resources differently. But be that as it may, I think Arrow has proven to be a coach that creates systems that have lasting power and are always solid. Now, where he has competed against wasn't the same level of coaching talent. But historically, his teams were either the best teams in the competition he was participating in, or just below that tier, like the best of the second tier teams.
Sure.
So Immortals comes to mind, right? FNRGFE.
Sure.
Yeah, these types of teams come to mind. So then again, there is Dallas as well. So in terms of coaching, they're much more solid than last season. I will also say that I think this season, if they get an issue that is discernible by the midseason, Dallas Fuel has shown that they care about doing well and also spending money. And I think because they don't have to buy a completely new team like the expansion teams did this season, they might have some cash back, like in their back pockets, or they just might bring it out and then, fix the issues that they might have over the season. If I look just at the roster, like pound for pound, I think RCK is very good. OGE is a best top 3 player in the world candidate on his position.
Yeah, he can bring in a lot of money from boosting on the
Here we
side
go.
too.
Here we go.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
There's the jabs. Here they come.
I mean, it was okay. And then also, I personally was always higher. Like in the past, I always thought it was very weird that you go with Nuss over Closer, but there must be some intangible thing there. And I think that might not be just on Closer being the worst intangible player, but maybe something about getting along with other players. So they are already, I personally think he might even be a better player than us. And mechanically on the server, that's definitely true. He has some of the best main support mechanics in the league. So I'm quite a fan of them picking up Closer. So the backline, and then also I have to talk about Anko, who I think is candidate for best Western player. Certainly can hang with maybe not the absolute top tier supports like Jonak, flex supports, but he's up there. And also, depending on what happens this season, he's quite flexible. We know he has an Ana. We know his Zen is very good. He's not going to be a liability, and he's likely also better than the 9th best flex support in the league. So he's not a problem there. Now, what we have to say also is, if Goats is played, there's a possibility that Mickey plays, simply because of Brigitte, right?
Possible, yeah, certainly.
And last season, if we think about this back, this archetypical meta comp looks much more like what Dallas Fuel was playing, right? So immediately they start out right away. I think they also have their shit together in terms of visas. So here we have, or rather, they don't have players where this could be an issue. So they will start into the season probably better than their average. I could see them landing like 6th in first stage or even higher. Even though one has to say, and this is a big caveat, they are in the harder division. So it will be hard for them to compete here. But yeah, overall, the big question mark for me really is Zachary. And I haven't publicly said so, but I have big question marks about him as a player, specifically about his projectile ability, which was always historically an issue for Dallas Fuel. I mean, currently we don't really need that, really, right? So it's not as much of a problem. We will see where that goes, though.
Exactly.
And though I've heard from people like Elk saying that he can play it at a very high, like all these picks on a very high level, I mean, you don't need absolute monsters. Like we have seen, if you have one more supportive DPS that is more flexible, that allows the other DPS to carry, then it doesn't matter as much. Now, if it turns out to be a meta where the projectile DPS is the hard carry and the other one is the support, okay, now we're running into trouble for Dallas Fuel. Currently, we're not even seeing DPS though in the meta, so I mean, it is highly speculative, but they also have very high amounts of redundancy here with Taimu and AKM. So that like Taimu is still a player who can peak in the situations you want him to peak, or not on demand, but like you can see if Taimu is on, you bring him in. Right? If there's a Redo meta and you know, okay, Taimu is not doing that well, okay, bring AKM in. But if Taimu is on, now he's Pine level, and now you bring him in, and now it all flows in that regard, and then it gets even more scary, especially if Effect is also on point, right? So all in all, this team has great potential, but the important part for me is they have a great foundation with coaching, with just average skill sets. Nobody really needs to peak super hard here. They just need to not fall apart socially, I guess.
Yes.
And as long as that's a given, I think that position we gave them is justified.
That was deep. That needs a whole thinking it over, honestly. It just needs a whole thinking it over because that was deep.
That was a powerful flow of consciousness.
Powerful
no breaks
flow.
in there too.
Yiska's got a powerful
Absolute no stutters.
It's all that asparagus.
Powered by better blockers.
Yeah. Let's go to number. I mean, any other thoughts on number 9? Or are we ready to go to number 8?
No, I mean, I think it's interesting. We all have them at 9, and I think we all kind of agree for the most part across the board.
Okay, let's see.
I'm just gonna go out and say it. Number 8, Vancouver. Joe, number 8.
I've got Spark at 8. I've got Hangzhou Spark.
All right, Yiska, number 8.
Seoul Dynasty.
I bet you we have Vancouver and Seoul switched. All right, what do you guys want to talk about? We've got Vancouver, we've got Spark, and we've got Seoul.
Why Vancouver so low?
I mean, Runaway obviously was a team for hire.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
So were the Dallas Fuel. So were the Seoul Dynasty before they got.
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced. I don't think that they're adaptable enough if they don't get a meta that suits them. I really don't. There's so little variation from contenders. Emotion kind of clouds my judgment, I think, a little bit here too, because I want to love this team so much that I feel like I'm being maybe even a little bit overly harsh on it, which I'm sure Yiska would love to open up on me for. I don't know, and again, we've seen teams like this struggle translating from contenders to Overwatch League. I don't know if this team, and it really, for me, it comes down to the adaptability for different metas. I think they're cutting it too close at the tank and flex position as well. That's me. That's it.
I think you have. I do want to see another year with Bumper. I think their support line is absolutely world class. I think their flex tank is world class. I do have some questions around their DPS. Moxall is known to pull the trigger very quickly. Stitch is peaky. A lot of people like to remember very fondly about Runaway, but go rewatch season 2 and tell me that Stitch was carrying Apex season 2, to be specific. Stitch has his moments where he is not on. He also has his moments where he's very on, and he can perform to the top level. Flexibility wise, he has the Widow, he has a Tracer. Those are all fine and dandy. If we do get the tank meta, can he live up to expectations? Can they replicate their contender season? I do see where you're coming from. I don't know. Yiska?
I have a point I want to make, but I want to make sure I get the details exactly right before I do that. So go ahead, Yiska, chew me a new one.
Vancouver so low, do you think? I mean, to be fair, to be completely honest, I have them a little bit higher. Not too much higher, but a little bit higher. Full disclosure.
Yes. Okay, so I think Runaway has a special quality of the bounce back potential in their inherent core of Bumper, Stitch, and Huxal. I do think that Stitch and Huxal have keys to be a duo that you have to be super scared of. At the same time, I don't think that really ever mattered that much in Overwatch history. If I look at their front line, I think they're super dope. If I look at their back line, that might be...
That's the super dope.
Yeah.
That's the super dope. Bumper, I'm still, he grew a lot as a player from season 1, season 2, right? Of contenders. Season 1 looked very hesitative and looked very wishy-washy. Did not look great on the Winston. Season 2 came out, Reinhardt, Winston, very powerful. That's where I'm like, I want to see a little bit more from him. I want to see him more challenged at the top level. Can he hang OGE, Sato, you name him, Fissure? There's a lot of powerful flex tanks out there, right? There's a lot of world-class, main tanks, not flex tanks. Can he measure up? That's where I go with John, and I say my expectations are a little bit higher.
I also want to say this, and this is where I think the bulk of my rankings, because I honestly switched my 6, 7, and 8 almost interchangeably, probably 5 times in the last 3 days, back and forth. And even then, I was literally in my spreadsheet, I was dragging my 6 and 8, Vancouver and this other team back and forth. But when I go ahead and I look at Shanghai Dragons, who just picked up the core of KDP. In a world where Runaway doesn't defeat KDP in 5 in Apex Season 2, does our emotions change about this team? Because, to Yiska's point, that's your core 4 right there, going to Shanghai Dragons from KDP. And we've got Shanghai Dragons, 15, 16, 13, 14? 12 through 14?
Yeah, the problem is that they really let go of their bomb players in KDP,
and they did, and that when we talked about that a little bit, but they also they still have that core together, and I don't think it's a far stretch for me to say that this is a top 5 team when we said a team that was very similar and one map away from being Runaway essentially. Being 12 through 14.
I seriously think that KDP this was their chance to win, and they couldn't even amount to there. And you take a lot of the power out of that core. And yes, you still have the core there, but they've never really lived up to expectations. Season 1 wasn't a solid performance, even though the roster looked absolutely stacked. Season 2, it was their chance to win. They couldn't necessarily seal the deal there. You take power out of it, and now you're kind of left with a shell of a former team. I think that's why I personally have them a little bit lower.
I get it, but like Fearless and Guardian, I think are really solid tank core
No,
there.
I'll agree with you.
So, and that's the thing is I don't think that a team jumps 6, 7 spots just because, they should have won and they didn't in a one best of 7, best of 5.
Yeah, keep in mind though, KDP, it felt like they really lucked out on a specific meta, and I think that lack of flexibility might just be enough to explain that gap.
Could be.
Maybe, and again, I would have to watch it more, and I would love to hear you break down here's that part of that map where they really lucked out with that meta, because over the whole of that, I just don't know if I totally agree. But
that's fair enough.
That's why I'm the idiot pushing the buttons. So
we're all just idiots with opinions. Come on now.
There's a good chance they have a lot of variance down.
Yes.
Their coaching staff is not the most experienced now. They have new living environments. We don't know how Contenders Korea stacked up. There are a lot of question marks there.
Those are all things that I feel like I've said enough. I didn't want to bring up again. But yeah. It's just every time it's how are they going to transfer to an Overwatch League environment?
They're also
John-
living in a super dope house, having
Yeah.
like house parties there or whatever. Like you could put a contenders team
All that American
in that
booty that they
house,
want.
and it still wouldn't be full. Like it's unreal.
You were asking me a
So-
question, Joe.
I don't know if I'm super okay. I'm in the green now. I was in the red for a second on Discord, so I was pacing that one out.
And there he goes.
No.
And I'm gone.
And you're here, and you're gone.
Yeah.
And oh man, this is weird. Now
Stop
you're here.
motion.
Am I here?
I think
Hello?
so.
Sort of.
Yep.
I think
yep,
we're
you're
here.
Yeah.
I think you're good.
Discord, please. All right. Because this is a team that's kind of a brotherhood, right? Do you think that hinders them in the midseason?
That's too
I'm-
far for me to speculate. I like.
Okay, fair enough.
And here's the thing. I've tried really hard to not pull the when the meta inevitably changes and GOATS isn't the thing anymore, or when the trade deadline comes up, because it is really easy then to like really I don't want to say water down, but kind of water down your picks a little bit. And
Sure.
part of the fun of these conversations is saying something a little bit more absolutely, if that makes sense. I can't tell if I'm breaking up to you or not because I
No,
noticed
I can hear you. I can
Okay,
hear you.
good.
I'm just seeing my Discord levels just bounce from green to red. I'm just like,
Got it. Yeah. So I've tried my best to stay away from that, but I think and part of when we were talking initially what qualifies a power ranking is I'm doing my best not to speculate on things that are just completely out of the control and totally speculation. We shouldn't have GOATs by the trade deadline. We should have a new meta by the trade deadline.
I would certainly imagine, but we said that 2 months ago. They had 2 months to change things. And
I didn't say that, by the way.
fair enough.
I don't think
I won't
Blizzard.
put words.
I don't know if they care about the tier 2 competitive meta at all. I think they do care about their tier 1 competitive meta, despite the fact that they will communicate those changes just 48 hours in advance to when the stage starts. But I've tried my best to stay away from that the best that I can, and maybe for Folly, maybe not.
Fair enough. It's just an interesting angle that I had thought of when you started to pose your argument on why you had them a little lower. I was just like, oh, okay. Got me thinking.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just like there's just
That's
a
fair.
lot. But it really kind of comes down to I think that the teams above them have a better chance to finish higher.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I
All right.
think to be completely full transparency, I think I have like if their variance is where I have them, and I think where you have them.
Yeah,
I
if
don't
we
think
did the
they go
much
too
more
much lower than
boring way of doing tiers, I think we probably would have all had them relatively in the same tier. So, but we're not boring. We're fun.
agree.
This is a fun
I'm boring.
podcast.
This
This
is
is a
me.
fun podcast.
Anti-fun here.
Aren't you having fun, listener, viewer? This is a fun podcast. All right.
Sound threatening.
I know. Have more fun. Have more fun. All right.
Feel like I should be going and
What else? So we had
myself in my room.
we had Soul and Spark.
I had Spark 8.
So Spark, you have
yes.
Spark as the highest out of all of us. Why do you rate them higher than Yiska and I?
I've been always pretty forward with a tendency to enjoy the X6 core. It could just be my personal bias coming in. I think there's a lot of players in that roster
Could
that
just be. Come on, give me a break.
Well, I
dude.
mean, it is. You can
Yes.
obviously tell that it is.
Yeah. What's that behind you? Is that a Godspeed body pillow?
No, it's a white wall. Nice try though.
That's about as impactful as Godspeed will be in the Overwatch
You
League.
think? You
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, he's old, dude.
He's old. Okay. You know who's old? Unko's old. Unko's still doing it.
I think. Yeah, I'm not sure who's older, but yeah.
Okay, are we talking competitive Overwatch careers, or are we talking just age?
Age.
I don't have Godspeed's age off the top of my head. But I know he's not.
23 or 24.
Sure. I do think that I think they have actual tangible value. Have they been the most spectacular? No, that's why they're at 8th. They're not at 4th or,
But you would have liked
guaranteed
them
for
to.
playoffs. Oh, I very easily would have liked them too. I think
I'm
Spark.
sick of Joe. Jesus Christ, man. Come on. Like
It's just my nature, dude. It's my nature. It's hard for me to take a hard, fast opinion. But when I do, you'll know. You'll know when I have a very big.
Call
stance.
me if that that 2.5 year pause.
Yeah.
Is
I mean,
over
hey,
yet.
I took lower bets, man. I'll be happy to be wrong.
True.
I very often will eat crow, but I like to pick and choose my battles, man. I'm very, very careful with my wording. Yeah, I think that they have some potential with the Chinese players. Do I think they'll see playtime? Maybe towards the end of the season. Early on, I think you're going to be seldom seeing Gusha and Crystal, even though I think that they can definitely start on any other roster or specifically a full Chinese roster. But I would be I'm interested to see what they do with them. I think integrating them in and having a strict or a very successful calling structure, we'll say that. I don't think Overwatch is at the level that you need some crazy crazy call outs, but having them in there would be interesting. We'll see. I don't think that they'll see a ton of play early on though. But yeah, I think X6 as a core, fairly strong, kind of slept on. Statistically quite good also. I know you love your stats. Check out No Smite.
Sure.
He's a fragger.
Sure.
Also can play Junkrat.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Especially Godspeed didn't even convince me when they won Contenders. So
That's fair. I think he's like your definition of like jack of all trades, master of none, right?
yeah.
He can play a lot of different things.
He has
People
such
don't
a high
remember.
probability of who-regging himself up to me. Like
I don't think he'll who-reg.
I think like if you look at the player profiles, it's like architect.
Hureg is not a verb, by the
Architect.
way.
Godspeed.
Hureg-
What's the
Hureg
one
is
pick
not a
that
verb.
Godspeed can play? Say it.
Widow,
What's the one pick that Hureg can play?
Farah.
No, he's terrible on fire. He's worse than Prophet. It is Widow. So
I don't know, man.
Break it up.
Homeboy
you
got
two.
carried hard. And you don't,
and so will
you don't think
Godspeed.
Godspeed? I don't think so.
Break it up, you two.
I don't think so.
Roboting out there.
We got to move on. We got to move on to number 7.
All right.
Do we need to talk about at all Yiska's pick for Seoul?
I mean,
Not
are
yet.
you guys far away from this?
No.
No.
So I guess we can do that in the next round then.
Sure.
So, Joe, you're up first. Number 7.
If I'm not a robot, I have soul. If
Soul.
I am a robot, I have soul.
All right. Yiska, who
Like
do you
that,
have
you
for
see
number? Who do you have for number 7?
LA Valiant.
I have Valiant.
Wow. Really?
Yo, this
Yep.
should leak, dude. This leaked.
What do you mean?
Okay. My list.
Apparently, I'm just waiting for Yiska to say, and then I just do the same thing. No, I can send you my
that would
spreadsheet.
be Oh, I recently watched like a special from Darren Brown where he puts like grandmaster chess players against each other in a room and has like, visible walls there. And then he just remembers each and every move and makes them, like play against each other. But the impressive part is that he can remember all these. And because he knows that grandmaster players aren't stupid, what he basically did was take an uneven number. So nobody expected that to be the case. And he just beat this pretty good guy by himself. So that was the impressive part. And he went like 4-3 based on that. Because, of course, if you mirror Grandmaster, it will be 3-3. And then he beat the one guy. So, yeah, that's basically what Tripod is doing here.
So I'm assuming you're the grandmaster in chess here.
No, he's beating me. I'm the...
I I don't know. I just linked my picks to Joe and Yiska just so they can see that I'm not changing them, because of all the people, I know Joe and Yiska have an integrity unmatched.
I didn't accuse you of that.
Have an integrity
just very
unmatched.
quickly.
However, everybody knows I'm really insecure about my picks, so it is totally feasible for me to do that. I've set a rule for myself that I wouldn't.
It is what it is, man.
So
no. Of course it was a joke. I didn't actually.
Whatever. Accuse me of whatever you want.
Fight Valiant me at 8, though. Is that where you had him? I gotta hear some positive arguments there.
For Valiant?
Yeah.
So
why so high?
Okay.
I don't know why is the second place team in all 40 games of Overwatch League only falling 5 spots?
Yeah. So
there's a lot of new talent being added. Hard to compare.
And then people say, well, Valiant didn't really add any good new talent and blah blah blah. Not true. They added their talent that now becomes great.
Sure. Yes.
Last season.
Sure.
I think KSF and Izayaki especially are two. They're transitioning talent. Sure, they got them in season 1.
Sure.
But I don't think that they played to their potential in season 1, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the translation. I think that was the transition to do so.
Yeah.
You've got Bunny, you've got Custa, obviously, who I think Custa definitely transitioned well. I'm excited to see, but I do think teams have maintained and increased their power level more than LA did. I do, which is why I'm dropping them from whatever 2nd overall to 7th. But if you're gonna try and tell me that the let me look at your picks here, like where you would like the Defiant. If you think that the Defiant have better off bench contenders talent than Overwatch League trident people, like I think you're a special kind of crazy.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, this team, like, nothing shines super bright for me, I gotta say. But at the same time, like, there is some built-up priors that you have to consider from last season. That is definitely the case. I also think Cookie does absolutely nothing for this team.
Very strange.
Like the one thing that I hope doesn't happen as much is this Karif to DPS memes that have been talked about.
Hope you're ready.
I think that's actually happening.
Hope you're ready.
I'm not sure what they're scrimming with. That's just my speculation. What I heard like directly after the season stopped, but like, yeah, that's a problem. But then again, it gives Izayaki like first roster capabilities then. I do think their tank line is very good.
Sure,
and likely, for instance, better than what you can expect of the Valiant the tank line on average has to be higher what you can at this point expect from Dallas, for instance.
Yeah, there's just more data. I think there's just more evidence to support that.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
So then it gets to the back line. Not a huge fan of Custa's outlook, to be honest.
Nope.
But okay,
some intangibles. Very, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Custa is a big part of a lot of his teams can call to a extremely high level, but at times does feel a lot like Runner. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
At times he feels like Runner, where it's like, what happens if he isn't on the team? Is it a complete just rip out of any kind of communication structure? Can you fill the gap with a more mechanically sound player? I don't know.
Yeah. And then, I think like just the issue really is the DPS line. And we have said this a lot, but then again, how much do DPS actually matter in the game of Overwatch, right?
I agree.
What's the
Especially
DPS
now in this
again?
meta, but even before.
Yeah, in a meta where DPS aren't played.
The first 3 words of I have like a little synopsis paragraph to remind me, just kind of when I go deep diving. The first three words are while completely unexceptional, comma.
Yes.
Yes.
Because they're not. There's nothing exceptional, but at the same time, I don't think there's anything exceptional about the Valiant in season 1. I really don't. They just played really. I come from.
Yep.
Let me make another Minnesota sports analogy because I know you guys love that. I come from a completely unexceptional state of sports where fundamentals win games even when overall talent does not. And I think that while this isn't the most talented roster, and I would say of the playoff teams, probably has the least individual star talent, I think that combined, they can and will continue to do really well.
Yeah.
And by
also
really
just the
well, I
coaching
mean
staff.
7th.
The thing is, okay, so who did they lose in terms of coaching staff?
Take a peek.
So, okay, in matters of fairness, I know who the replacement is. I put some stock in that regard. I don't think they're losing much quality over. Okay, Damon was of course one, and then Gunba, yes, and I also rate him.
Sure.
So
Cuddles. They lost him in season 1, didn't they?
Yeah, stage 1.
Yeah,
I think stage 1, stage 2, and then
that's a while ago. But yeah, Damon is. But yeah, their replacement process was very thorough. Is also the case.
Sure.
I think Moon is a really good head coach figure in the sense that he enforces a structure that just works. It's not cuddling players. It's like, he can play the disappointed dad as well, which sometimes is needed. And that, teams had internal problems, and the Valiant is not an exception of that. They still managed to be the second place team. I don't know what can happen to this team in order to internally fall apart. I don't think that too much can happen. But yeah, I think in general, Valiant for me. Also keep in mind, yes, I'm valuing a lot of the priors that we had last season. I have to agree, I didn't see it myself, but you can't argue with empirical evidence, which is the final score they had in the season. And that is something I consider as well.
I think last point I'll make in kind of qualifying, because I do that also well, on my opinion on Valiant. When we look at contenders and we look at the meta that we are approaching, until I see a patch, I'm thinking tanks, right? We've seen the massive change this has posed to players. This calls for a certain skill set. Can we just throw all of the evidence out the window with Valiant? No, obviously not at all. And that's why I have them still on the cusp of making playoffs. But do I think that they're just a shoe-in? That's where I draw the line. And I go, I don't know. Tanks are that's a whole new skill set you have to fill. Does this team do that? I don't know. Hard to say.
Well, I think they at least make playoffs. Let's say that much.
Yeah, for sure. I think that there's a good chance that they do. I wouldn't say shoe-ins, but good chance.
Fair enough. All right, we've got a few minutes left.
Good
we have
chance
to go through
is
number 6.
apparently 11th place now, guys.
Have a good chance.
Is that not a good chance?
No, that's a 0% chance.
No, it's in the play-ins, but it's then 33% chance.
Yeah.
I don't know where your good is, but no, 25% actually.
Fair enough. All right.
I guess
I don't know if that's actually the percentage, but
I don't math. I say
let's go to number 6. Number 6, Yiska, you're up first. Number 6.
Vancouver.
All right. Dynasty.
I have Philly.
Ooh. Okay.
Huh. Interesting.
Now I'm almost convinced we have the same top 4.
Possibly. Probably. Philly, again, same thing with Valiant. Lot of last season, not the greatest, not the most consistent. We all like to forget because that great old playoff match against New York Excelsior, super good, right, guys? No.
Yeah.
Their regular season, y'all forget. Game 5 against Shanghai, not great.
Yes.
Did they add anybody? We have Elk two-way.
Yeah.
Not saying the roster's bad, not at all. This roster is sick.
Here's the crucial part, Joe.
Sure.
They are by far the third best team in their division, and that will matter a lot. Like, there's no universe where London and New York aren't the favorites in the Atlantic Division, and then goes whoop, and then there's Philly, right? And then there's maybe, like, just let me list the names: Atlanta Reign, Boston Uprising, Florida Mayhem, Houston Outlaws, Paris Eternal, Toronto Defiant, Washington Justice.
Sure.
There's no way they land under them, and they're farming easy points here. I think that just elevates them in terms of standing, and it's quite unfortunate that it looks to be this way. And if it actually does in the end, then we will have to think again about how important divisions are, because I think this is an underrated point, just in overall.
Sure.
But as it presents itself, like, for me, Fusion will have an easy time.
Yes, I completely agree. I think they will have an easy time within their division and even outside of their division, right? But overall, how do I rate them in terms of power comparatively to the other teams? It's not as rosy as everybody else thinks it is.
Mm-hmm.
That last season,
I don't have Fusion too much higher than you, so I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm not going to disagree, but I also don't. I don't know. I think they also just showed a lot of consistency in season 1.
I wouldn't say that at all. Consistency?
6-4 and 7-3 and 5-5. Like,
dropping maps against people they really shouldn't have.
Dropping maps.
That's not consistent.
I don't think you can take dropping maps when you're talking about a macro over the season. I don't think you can. That's like saying, oh, the Minnesota Twins lost to, I mean, no, they suck. You know, the best team in baseball lost to the worst team in baseball. You know, you play enough games, eventually you're going to drop, you're going to give up runs. It happens.
Sure.
Did they win? Did they win?
Yes, they won.
And I think that's what matters here. Did they win when it mattered to get them to where they needed to be? And I think for the most part, they did.
Then could we then argue that their playoffs were successful because they just won and had a good meta? Is that, I mean...
Qualify that more for me.
So they had a great meta. They exploded in. Double Sniper fit them very well. Other teams like New York didn't really fit them very well. Maybe they had a poor read. Maybe they were a little bit cocky. Came in, tried to hide strats, didn't want to play Libero out as much. We didn't see him at all. This meta in the playoffs fit them very well, but they won though. So that's okay.
Yes. I mean, yeah, okay. So the playoffs do screw opinion, definitely. But I was also trying to be mindful of that. I think, for instance, they still have one of the best coaching staffs in the league. Just like the breadth of it all is.
They have a lot of money behind them.
Solid. They have a lot of money, meaning like if the midseason something doesn't work out, there might be help there. They got rid of a lot of dead weight. They, of course, added Elk.
Sure.
I'm not sure how much that will help. Also, they have, of course, Hayes, who, like, at this point, like,
has been quite successful.
Yeah. I think he's one guy that just silently just makes these teams like super solid. If you think about it, United, then reunited beforehand. That was a team that really didn't have much punch behind them in terms of players, but they always were very good. One of the best teams in Europe, right? And they at tops had maybe 1 or 2 star players ever on their roster. Then he also did the World Cup thing for UK, right? So also season 1, of course, a lot of these curveball strategies probably are from them, and also they are adding more coaching staff. Can't talk about that. I think what they did though is move people into roles that fit them more, with Kirby now being in a like semi-state between GM and coach or something like that. And they're adding new people. I think in that regard also, like, what I would have liked them to do is get a new flag support, which they didn't. And that is almost as much as I can blame them. Carpe is still a monster. Ikyo is still a monster. I think we haven't seen
somebody at least in the back there.
I think we still haven't seen the real Sato.
No. I don't know.
Those are really good points.
Their flex tanks are really solid. Or their flex tank. Yeah, and then backline. Okay, here's one side tangent. I guess that's the last. That's where. Could Neptuno be the best Western player of season 1? Or can you argue against anyone else? I think Neptuno is the best Western player of season 1. Who else? Okay,
I mean,
if you say HUO or whatever.
No.
Okay,
I mean, you could argue that. I think there's an argument to be made for Unko as well.
Well, he was in purgatory, not even playing over Karif much of the season, right? Or not much, but some.
Again, not something that I've thought a lot about. Yeah, I mean,
I have to wait until I see you thinking it over before I'm ready to give my opinions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's Philly number 6. Who did you have for number 6, Yiska? Vancouver?
I had Vancouver. Yeah.
Okay, and then I had Seoul. We were going to talk about Seoul a little bit, weren't we? Because we all had them in 8, 7, and 6.
Sure.
Let's talk about Seoul. Who had him at 8?
I
Me.
want to. Yeah, you had him at 8. I am at 7.
And I have him at 6. All right,
Yeah.
Yiska, why 8?
Okay, so the weird shenanigans that they're currently trying. First off, yes, they're once again in the strong division. The weird shenanigans where we sometimes not even see Fisher play first fiddle or play up front, and that has been something that we heard from scrims as well. That's interesting. Maybe that's just a tactic to keep on his toes and sort of tame him and make him fight for his spot. What I will say is the reason I can even have Seoul up there is that they got Jaxay. And I rate him very highly, just based on what I have heard. Like, outstanding support. A lot of people try to get him. Also because of his intangibles, just imprints his style of play onto the team. Is like an extension of the coaching staff. And he doesn't just call things. He also reminds players in each position. It's almost like, you know, he's playing like in a commander position, just saying, okay, you need to be mindful of that, right? And it incorporates that. Just marvelous in that regard, apparently. I will say it is, on paper, we have maybe a couple of issues with the support line, I would say, in terms of Jehon. I don't know how highly we can rate him at this point. Also, the additions are really not the big names other than Jaxay, I would say, right? With Marvel and Fitz and Michelle, it's like maybe diamonds in the rough. I expect more from the Korean team. You should be getting all the Korean star players, because we know Koreans aren't just about the money.
Yes.
They are also about bringing glory to Korea in that sense, right? Like, that's always something that we've heard from the Apex days, where it was very important for them to win against Western teams, for instance, right? And to carry that pride. So I would have expected them to stock up way more in that regard. Also, I think, honestly, Munchkin on a team like that is almost an insult at this point. Like, based on the things I said before, he is not that level of player. What I expect of the Korean team. There are many more players. Maybe you can make Decay an offer. Maybe that's possible, right?
Sure.
They are mercenaries, and there are players that, you know, you get the idea, right? I don't know what the case here is, right? I think they could have pursued some of those Korean players way harder, and they have way better arguments than other teams, right? Toby won't see much play if the things about Jaxa are true.
No.
And then Fleta, okay, so we will see. Can this does this turn into? I don't think it can turn into a flashlight simulator again.
No.
That said, I was kind of wary. Wait, why is Michelle and Marvel playing ahead of Fisher and Zumba? Like, are they trying to make that flashlight simulator right here? But and then also fits on flex support. But it's like, yeah, I don't think this team has. I think they could feasibly drop to like a play-in slot, but not much lower than that. But I also don't think they can peak higher.
So I put him at 6. And I think a lot of what you said kind of makes sense, but at the end of the day, I think we saw some really brilliant moments from Seoul, especially in the first 2 stages. They played really well, and honestly, you argued in stage 1, how does this team lose? In a lot of ways, I think that I'm a big fan of Michelle and Marvel from LFZ. I'm really excited about that. You've got a strong core arguably intact. They shouldn't get worse year over year. Brand new coaching staff. I don't know. To me, this feels like a team that's improving and not going down. And whether it's 8, 7, or 6, I don't know. I think they're 6. I think the Valiant are going to dip just below the Dynasty with how they stayed still.
Okay, I have 2 China experts here, right? So, okay, let's
No,
first
you have
agree
one
on one.
China expert and one person who hosted Contenders China.
No, okay, so give yourself some credit here, man. Okay, so
I have no credit to take.
can we agree a team that is very good is very unlikely to have 6 very good players?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're talking about LFZ.
Mm-hmm.
Are Marvel and Michelle the very good players, or are they more the not so very good players of the LFC bunch?
I think out of the like, if I break down the lineups into like frontline, support line, DPS, I think their tank line was very easily their weakest lineup. I think their support line was good. I think Ursa DM were fantastic. Michelle Marvel. Michelle has a lot of room to grow, I suppose you could spin it that way. Very mediocre diva player. Marvel, on the other hand, has some
I don't like the
potential to be
term
very-
mediocre. I'm just gonna say that. Just right
compared to the field. Where do you put him?
there. That they
I'd
beat
put him in
consistently.
pretty middle, pretty average, for me at least.
Average, I'm okay with. Mediocre is not average.
Mediocre for the Overwatch League. That's what we're talking about.
Oranges.
Fair.
And
I mean,
apples.
that's fine.
Is
That's
this a spicy hot
That's
take
fine.
by Joe, dude? What's going on
That's
here?
fine. I was never that big on Michelle, me personally. Marvel, on the other hand, can be mechanically very talented on Winston specifically. We saw him pop off a little bit in some of their Chinese matches. I saw, now, tangent, but we'll tie it in. From my understanding, and I saw this on a Reddit post, so shout out to the Redditor who kind of brought this up, and this is more towards John because I need some clarification. In baseball, there are levels
good. Okay,
of...
I feel better.
Yes, I knew you would. I knew you would. This is something I think you will be very comfortable
This
with.
is an Overwatch. You should be fine, John. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Well, come on. So in baseball, correct me if I'm wrong, there's levels of play that are graded on like the system of A's, right? So you have like single A, double A, triple A, which is like contenders level, and then there's this theory around quadruple A being players that are very good in the lower leagues but struggle on the biggest stage. Is that something sounds kind of familiar?
Yeah. I mean, I have never heard it as like quadruple A, but the concept of people who are crushing triple A but aren't quite major league, able to compete on the major league levels, whether that is a talent or mental thing or whatever. Yeah.
Sure. And that's where I worry about Lucky Future, because again, they're in China, not the most strong region. I love China to death. Very creative, very colorful, fun to watch. Are they the strongest? No, they're not. I'm sorry. They're not. Can they be there at some point in the future? Sure. We can speculate on all that all we want. Lucky Future, they came in and they looked nigh unbeatable. Sure, they dropped their matches here and there. Or did they? They didn't. They dropped maps. Very consistent. Does that translate over? That's where I worry. That's where I say we haven't really seen them tested, and I worry that this front line isn't up to snuff to a degree, right? I think they're fine. They're very bland.
This is also though, like let's keep on with this baseball analogy, just so Yiska
Go
can't say anything. I'm just kidding. It's a joke, Sasha. Jeez. So
yeah, my bad. There's already bombs dropping again here.
Anyways,
really?
So
oh no.
Yeah, I saw that. We'll probably say something about it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, I haven't seen it, so it's gonna be news to me.
Maybe. Well, I'll use that time to inform you.
Okay, good.
So, in baseball, there's this idea, right, that very good players can play on mediocre teams. Right. For example, a very good baseball player could be on a team that is last in the league, right?
Sure.
On the same time, you can have very decent or mediocre players play on championship caliber teams. There's at some point
existed.
A scout comes in and says all the pieces are here for this player to make it here, even though X results don't happen here. I mean, we see it all the time when players are. We've honestly, more often than not, very rare. I don't want to say very rarely, but I would say for every time somebody who's crushing it in AAA and goes and crushes it in the major league, there's somebody who, on paper, from what you look on stats, looks very middling. Looks fine. Like, they're not exceptional, but why are you calling them up? Why do you need? We have 3 other right-handed pitchers in the bullpen pitching the same time. Why are you bringing them up?
That's a great analogy, and that's where I look at Michelle. I'm just like, Zunba's fine. If you want like a second string, maybe he can learn a thing or two.
This is where I trust the scouts. Trust the scouts.
I question esports scouts
every day. Are the Seoul Dynasty capable of
scouting players?
Scouting talent.
Yes, they are.
And if they are, I think that this is a good scouting, because I think they are too. And if they see something, because your point, Marvel and Michelle on the team, you have 4 other players. They're like, okay, rate your favorite, like the best performing players on LFZ. Marvel and Michelle aren't probably in the top 3 at least.
No, not personally.
So, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that.
I think they'd be sick 2-way players, and I said this before. I think you put them in contenders, test them a little bit farther. You might as well use it. You've got the concept. Abuse it. Come on.
Seoul Dynasty number 6. I'm calling it right now.
I mean, we're all in agreement that there's not a ton of variance there. They could drop a little bit lower, but
6 to 8 is basically us all saying. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to help chat really quick. Jeez. And then
I think Mubot died and they're all spamming runtime and just nothing's fine.
Runtime is not a command. Uptime is. So,
chat, you tried.
There you go.
Better luck next time.
All right. So lots going on. It seems like it's pretty much confirmed at this point, by the way. So that's our rank 10 to rank 6. Next week we're gonna do 5 to 1.
Yes.
Are we to just do this on Tuesday?
I mean, whenever. I don't care.
We can get back on a regular schedule.
I'm around.
We can, yeah.
We can do that. Otherwise, I can just post number 10 on Tuesday.
Whatever works.
I don't know.
No qualms.
Let's say we're gonna be here on Tuesday.
Okay. Yep.
We're gonna be here on Tuesday, 12 p.m. Pacific time. Twitch.tv/KickedTripod. Make sure to come by, say hi. We have great conversations in the chat and everything else. 10. It's the elusive and mythical episode 10 and episode 6. Episode 6 is the one where I wasn't here.
The scuffed episode.
Maybe we'll make that like a sub-episode or something.
The Patreon exclusive.
Sub now. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We were talking a little bit at the beginning of the episode that there's some controversy going around
I don't like this word. I'm worried.
About a player named Ellie, who
no.
I believe it's signed by Second Wind, right? I think that was the idea.
Yeah, for like a hot minute.
And it turns out there was some rumors that she was not actually who she said she was, or who he said she was, or he said he was. They said they were.
Sure, whatever.
Anyways, seems to be all but confirmed now. Sounds like Second Wind and Blizzard are actually in meetings as we speak, discussing what the is going on.
Huh.
And that's about all. But it sounds like it's come to pass that indeed
Actually,
Ellie
what
was not
for?
Ellie was not who they said they were.
Why is
Got some leaks, boys.
involved?
Yeah.
I am lost.
We're not going to talk about this anymore because
No.
we number one, I don't think there's a part of us that cares ethically that isn't in the scope of this podcast. But for the scope of this podcast, we don't care.
I am
we probably won't bring any
Is this
sort
an
of
episode of
meaningful
Black Mirror?
conversation. Is this an episode of Black Mirror?
I don't actually watch the show. I
Have
just
you
know it's
guys
kinda
watched
weird.
the new movie, like the
No.
Choose Your Own
No.
Adventure
What is
movie?
it? Bandersnatch or what is it? Something?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, that one.
Snatch.
Dude, Yiska's just dead today, man.
His
Yeah.
beta
That's
blockers are
grade A
gone.
humor.
Yeah, and I gotta throw one of those like little pills in a bit.
Fair enough.
Anyways, so that's going on. We want
man.
to try our best to inform you on what's going on in the scene, but we also we've got a cool community that's wholesome and cares about the things that they can
Sure.
control and they can contribute to. Otherwise, just want to be informed. So there's your information. Now let's talk about
Take
things
it.
that we can control,
Yeah.
like the Overwatch League top 5 teams power rankings next week, Tuesday, 12 p.m. Pacific time. It was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys.
Yes.
Make sure to go follow Joe at Volamel, Yiska at Yiska out. Find their YouTube, subscribe to them. If you're not subscribed to them, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. Don't do yourself that disservice.
Got a sub here too. Come hang out.
Come on walks with me.
Yeah.
That too.
Sub here. Use that Twitch Prime sub.
Tell them about that Twitch Prime.
It's free. You could do it here.
It's just one click. Is it up there? Am I right? Or is it up there?
I think
Who
it's
knows? Just click
yeah,
it.
it's up.
It's up
Go
here
up.
somewhere.
Hit it. All right. We're out of here. See you guys. Bye.